Hello and welcome to Techiechap. In today's episode, I am going to be taking a look at an Arch Linux distribution called Mabox. Not my box, your box. It's Mabox, which is actually a play on words between Manjaro and Openbox. And these two have been brought together into this own unique Linux distribution. If you'd like to find out more, then join me after the intro. So here we are at the default Mabox desktop you are presented with after installation. And installation of Mabox onto a physical system is actually pretty painless. They get a live USB that is fairly easy to set up, and you just literally download the ISO and then copy that to your USB, and away you go. You boot from your USB, and from there you can test Mabox on your system, test that it works correctly, and then go ahead and install it. The installer is, I believe, a Calamares installer, just like pretty much the majority of Linux distributions out there right now. So very, very straightforward and very quick as well. So first impressions of Mabox is that it is a really nice and different looking system. Firstly, along the top here, as you can see, this is actually what's called a Tint 2 panel. And Tint 2 is an application that is used to present panels and notification windows like this one here on the right hand corner. Particularly used a lot with things like Openbox Window Manager. And Tint 2 as well as Openbox is very customizable. You could probably spend months customizing Openbox and Tint 2 to your heart's content to get your system to the way you want it to be. But we're focusing in here on the default installation at the moment. You also get this very nice welcome to Madbox window that pops up when you first start Madbox, and I've actually kept this so that you could see it. It's a really useful little system. It's got links to updating system here. Now it's going to go off and check for updates. Obviously I've updated this. I've been running this now for a couple of days, and I have to say this is a really impressive Linux system. Really impressive, really like it. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I enjoy a system that looks and feels and is trying to do something slightly different, and I can appreciate with Madbox that is what they are trying to do. Let's take a look at the website now, and here we go. This is the Madbox website, and it's quite a decent little website. It gives you a quick link here to the latest ISO images. If you click on download here we go. Unfortunately, at least for me, the images are hosted on SourceForge, which for me is a bit of a pain because SourceForge takes forever to download sometimes. A lot of Linux distributions host their images in SourceForge. I kind of wish they didn't, but hey, when it works, it works. But yeah, that's just a minor complaint, really. Mabox Linux, fast, lightweight, and functional Linux desktop. Relaxed rolling release. That's quite an interesting expression there. Manjaro based with Openbox Window Manager, and of course that's where the name Mabox comes from. So some of the features with Madbox is that it's lightweight and fast. Madbox uses Openbox Window Manager and lightweight apps which make it minimal and fast. It only takes 300 meg of memory. Well, a quick look at this Conky widget here on the right hand side, and we can see that that is probably very true, because the thing that is taking up the RAM of this at the moment, 1.28 gig of 7.86 gig available, is Firefox and OBS. If these things weren't open, then we probably would be running in about 300 meg of RAM. But bearing in mind that OBS is currently recording a full HD panel, it's recording full HD camera, and we are recording audio as well, 1.28 gig of 7.86 gig with Firefox open as well, really is quite impressive. And just to demonstrate, if I just close Firefox now, look at that, straight away it goes down to 900 meg. That's with OBS running. Very impressive memory usage, and that is largely thanks to the Openbox Window Manager, which is a really good choice of window manager if you want to run a lean, mean system that can do everything you need it to do. Openbox is a fantastic window manager for that, and as I said earlier, very customizable. Let's go back to the website again. Let's reopen Firefox, and as you can see, things open fairly rapidly on here. I will also go on to say that given that I'm running this on a physical Dell laptop, the detection of hardware was absolutely fine, other than one tiny quirk, which is the volume buttons don't seem to work at all on this Dell laptop, which is a little bit of a shame that isn't detected. However, all the other hardware has been detected. Right, so lightweight and fast it is indeed. Stable. Madbox is built on top of Manjaro's stable branch, powered by LTS kernel, featuring 100% complete and stable Openbox Window Manager. And I've been running this a couple of days now. Fresh software. Now, yes, fresh software is available, but we will get into that shortly. It is available, have no fear there. Mabox Tools, a set of carefully handcrafted utilities and scripts to provide streamlined desktop experience. So the team behind Mabox have actually gone to the effort of trying to further streamline this desktop, which I've got to say is most appreciated. Of course, donate, and you can support Mabox on Ko-fi, which is actually probably a good segue for my own Ko-fi account. If you love this content or like this content, and you'd like to donate to this channel, then you can do so by clicking on Ko-fi on my Techiechap channel and donating there, and any donations are much appreciated. Thank you very much. And you can do the same here for Mabox. You can go support Mabox on Ko-fi, and I do recommend you do if you do enjoy using this system. Developers, they do this work for free, but it's really good to support them in their work because it's important work. And this is 100% free. 100% free. Developed with passion, Mabox Linux is free and always will be, as you would expect with a Linux operating system. Sorry, a Linux distribution. Right, unique to Mabox, side panel menus, quick tiling, manually tile windows very quickly and arrange them on the grid, and Mabox colorizer. Colorize your Mabox desktop as you like, or let Mabox do it for you automatically from colors of currently set wallpaper. So this particular release pushed out in January the 26th actually, so very recent release of Mabox. And as I've said earlier, I'm very impressed with this so far. A little bit more information here. Going back to this nice conky gadget, Mabox Linux 23.01. You can see it's running on a Dell Latitude 7440. That's my system. And current kernel, Manjaro kernel, is 5.4.229-1. And that's Arch. And we are running ext4 file system. Okay, so as you can see, if you're just looking at the way I'm minimizing and closing windows there, it's pretty snappy as well. Given that I've running this on a Dell laptop, a 7440, it's to be expected. It should be fairly snappy, but yeah, this is Openbox, and given the amount of memory it's running in, yes, it is very snappy. Now, it mentioned side panels here, and this is what they're talking about. By clicking on these two arrows here, you get this unique left hand side panel, which has some really nice little shortcuts to various things, including the Mabox tools. So you've got you can choose a random wallpaper, and if we just click on choose wallpaper, like we often do on these videos, we'll take a look at the selection of wallpapers here. And as you can see as well, within the file manager, which looks like PC File Manager, I'll just double check that. Yeah, PC Man File Manager 1.3.2. As you know, if you've seen my previous videos, I do feel that this file manager is a vastly underrated file manager. It can pretty much do everything you need it to do. And it's got a number of tools in there that are really, really useful. Previews are turned on by default, and actually we'll go a little bit closer so you can see them a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, a nice selection of wallpapers. Of course, yeah, that's not the most important thing by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to a Linux distribution, but it's nice that they've included them there anyway. So there we go. Wallpapers. So there we go. Let's close that. Let's reopen that left hand side panel. Yes, you've got a number of links to downloads, documents, music, and of course you can do that through here as well by clicking on PC File Man icon up here, and you can go to these places directly from there as well. If we just click this panel here, you've got Madbox tools. So if we look at Screen Locker here, Screen Locker is developed by the Madbox team, and it's quite unique. If I click on lock screen now, so this is the current lock screen, and if I just press space, now I'll need to type in my password. Oops, it's because I pressed space twice. Start typing my password, press return, and then I'm logged in. Now that actually caught me off guard a little bit, because I was trying to click on things and I wasn't sure what I was meant to do. So it could take a little bit of work, that screen locker tool, but once you realize that when the screen is locked, all you have to do is type your password, then yeah, obviously you know then, but it's not immediately clear what you're meant to do to actually get back into the system. But it does work, and it's quite unique, and probably from a security point of view is pretty good way of locking your screen. If we go to system information, it gives a little bit more information on the kernel that's currently running. So it is quite an old kernel. However, this being Arch based and Manjaro based, you can download a newer kernel for better hardware support if you need it. Again, we can see another image of the RAM used currently, my processor, which is an i5 4310 CPU at 2 gigahertz, IP address, and then the date and time as well. Install popular apps. So there are things here, links here for various applications you might want to install, and that's actually quite a nice touch. That you can go here and find some popular apps that the Mabox team have curated for you to go ahead and install. For example, things like Simple Screen Recorder, VLC. I've already gone ahead and installed OBS Studio, and that is indeed what I'm recording this recording on now. You then have your Tint to panel settings. Now Tint 2, as I explained earlier, is the utility that controls your panel and your notifications up here. Yeah, as you can see, we can change things like the way the time is displayed. We can change how the day is displayed. So if we want to know the day, then we can include the day up there as well if you want to. And you can start and stop the hardware monitor. We could get really into this, as you can see, but it's nice that it's all in here straight away. You don't have to dig around for these settings. Then you have the Conky settings. You have a Conky editor that you can further customize these Conky gadgets or widgets, and you have a link to the colorizer for Conky. So yeah, some nice little utilities there in the left hand menu. And you've got a fast search as well there, which is pretty cool. Let's take a look at the right side panel now. And here we have links to some of the system settings type stuff, like the Mabox Control Center. So if I just click on that, and here again we can get access to things like the Tint to panel controls or the Tint to panels configurator, the menus, how the side menus work, colorizer, and we'll get to that shortly. So yeah, a bit more of in depth, I would say, on the hardware side of things. But you also have look and feel as well, so you can get into screen resolution, and you can choose your various resolutions here. And also even your orientation as well, for how you want the screen orientated. So if you have, for example, a monitor and you flip it on to portrait rather than landscape, then you can customize how that desktop looks. So the screenshot tool is actually quite interesting. If you left click, you get the standard screenshot tool, which is this. And then if I just click away, however, if I right click on this camera icon, I get the flame shot tool. And if I just select a portion of the background there, with flame shot, you get a whole host of different things here. So for example, you can draw straight away on there on your screenshot, and then you can just delete that if you want. Really fully featured screenshot tool, particularly good if you are doing presentations or you are essentially doing screenshots of the desktop and you want to highlight something. That's pretty cool. Flameshot is pretty neat. You activate that by right clicking on the camera up there in the Tint to panel. Going back to this right hand side panel, again, you've got access to system update using PAMAC, and you've got the PAMAC tool there, which is a direct link to PAMAC. This PAMAC is really your application center in the Arch world, and this is where, if you remember, there was that fresh software was highlighted as one of the things and features of Mabox. To actually get fresh software, we have to open PAMAC and click on the hamburger icon, as they seem to call it for some reason, or the 3 lines up here. Click on preferences, pop in your password, and then click on third party. Now, to really get some fresh software, you're going to want to turn on AUR support. It's not turned on by default. You do have to go in and enable that, and that then will enable you to have the freshest packages from the PAMAC software utility. Yeah, and then you close that and you now have access to the entire AUR, which is pretty much anything and everything you can think of in the Linux world is available within the Arch user repository. So that's pretty cool. And then you've got the exit commands here as well. And again, you can configure options. One of the highlights of Mabox is really how configurable it is. And as well as looking very modern and looking really neat, it is very, very customizable. I have the suspicion that actually you could really spend a very long time making this look and feel exactly the way you want it to. If we go and click on the Manjaro icon here, or Madbox icon here, you can see the sort of utilities that you get, and they really are the standard kind of utilities you would expect with most Linux installs. We've got the About Mabox Linux, tells you again the version. Right, so I could access terminal through the favorites up here, clicking on the M, but given that we've got a very nice little conky window here telling you the shortcut keys, I'm going to be a good Linux user and actually use the shortcut key to bring up the terminal. And there we are, which is of course Windows and T. If you are a beginner Linux user, then actually this is quite nice, having this conky window here to remind you what those keys are. And it means that hopefully if you do move to other Linux distribution, is that you'll remember those shortcut keys. So actually for learning Linux, this is a really good distribution. Anyway, let's just have a look at the version that we're running. As I've said earlier, it's 5.4.229-1-Manjaro, the base that of Mabox. Now, one of the good things about Terminator is that you can open another window using, again, shortcut keys, and you can find out a little bit more about Terminator by going to their website here. And indeed, if you go to the GitHub, it gives you a little bit more information about some of those shortcut keys. It uses the Control Shift basically to create a nice little way of working on terminals, especially if you live your life in terminal. It's quite a good terminal emulator. So there I just did Control Shift and O to open a new terminal within the Terminator window, and of course I can move these all around like that. So quite a nice terminal emulator, I would say Terminal is. Now, one of the things that is described as unique to Mabox, as per their website, is the quick tiling. And there is actually a really nice video describing how to tile using Mabox. And again, I would say that if you are a beginner in Linux, particularly in the Arch world, then these little videos here are really, really useful. So the way you do tiling in Mabox is you hold down Control and Shift, and then you click on the side of the window where you want this application to be, or to tile to. So I've got Control Shift held down. I'm going to click to the left hand side over here, and I'm expecting this to move over to the left, and indeed it does. And if I want this window to move over here to the right, I'm going to hold down Control Shift, and I'm going to click on the right hand side of that window. Similarly, if I launch another window here, and let's just let's just open this out a bit. Now I want this window here to open up down here, so I'm going to hold down Control Shift and I'm going to click down here, and as you can see it's moved automatically to the bottom right hand side. Let's say I've changed my mind, I want this window now to be over here. Control Shift, top left hand corner, there it is. So really easy, simple tiling there is built into Mabox, and I've got to say it's really useful when you are working on several things at the same time and you need to quickly flip between things or work on certain aspects at the same time. It works really, really well. I've got to say, really good, and very impressed that that is built in. Okay, coming into land now, we're just going to take a look at the Mabox colorizer. And so by doing that, we're going to click on colorizer here, and let's take a look at the colorizer tool. So the colorizer tool is a set of tools to easily customize your Mabox Linux desktop. And indeed, if we click on colorizer, that's the first thing that we see. Open theme box, so you can set your open theme, you can set the gradient type, so if you want it to be diagonal or pyramid or vertical, etc. You can change all of that. Menu side panels, you can add more side panels if you want. Conky, manager and colorizer. So that basically changes the colors of your Conky applications, and if you want to get to that quickly, let me just right click here, and you can change the colors. You can make it transparent. Let's say transparent background. There we go. So that's a nice transparent background for the Conky window there. And again, the same here. Let's say I want this one to be transparent as well. Yep, that's just going to restart that. And now we have a nice transparent Conky window. And you can see the difference there between the two. And you can even set a color, and it will automatically change the colors to suit your color of wallpaper. So for example, if you change your wallpaper to a different type of wallpaper, the colors will automatically change to suit that particular wallpaper, which is all pretty neat. So overall, I've got to say, Mabox, having run it for a couple of days now, gotta say it is pretty decent. It's very, very quick, particularly on my Dell laptop here. Really, really quick. Looks fantastic on a 1080p screen. Let me just pick a wallpaper here. Let's pick that one, and we're just going to set as wallpaper. There we go. Close that. And there's that colorizer tool as well, where it's made things transparent. Perhaps a darker one would be better. Let's set that as wallpaper. There we go. You can see as well that everything changes dynamically. You don't have to restart the Openbox Window Manager for these changes to take place. So yeah, Mabox is, to me, a fantastic release. Really, really good. So I've got to say that my experience with Madbox has been pretty good indeed. I did experience one glitch over the last few days where the CPU fans suddenly went nuts. I couldn't work out what was causing the issue because memory usage and CPU usage was only around 50%, and that was with several applications open. That was resolved after a reboot, but I'm not quite sure what caused that. And I guess that's one of the things why I install this on real hardware, is to find out whether things like this happen. However, Madbox has been a very, very impressive installation. I've really enjoyed using it over the last few days. I like that they have tried to do something different using the Openbox Window Manager as their default. If you're a new Linux user and you would like to try something that's different from your standard KDE and GNOME variants out there, then this really could be a distribution for you. If you're a seasoned Linux user, then Mabox Linux is probably a really good distribution for you as well. It really does make the most of your hardware. Given that I had a odd CPU stumble in just once over the last few days, I can't really give it a 4. I can't really give it a 5 out of 5, but I can indeed give it a 4 out of 5 because it really is a really good release. So I hope you've enjoyed this review, and if you have, then please click on like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next review. Thanks for watching.